Okay, so we're going to look at how to use the sine law. And in particular, in this video, we're going to learn how to use the sine law to calculate an unknown angle. So you're going to use the sine law and then the cosine law, which we'll get to in another video, when it is not a right angle triangle. So right down here, I've got all the ratios that make up the sine law. So you can see them here. I'm not going to read them out. But you're going to need to choose one of those ratios in order to calculate the angle that you are going to try and calculate. So in this triangle here that I've got, I want to try and calculate angle A. That's the one I want to calculate the value of. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make that chart that I had introduced in a prior video. So remember, the capital letters are the angles. So you can see here B is 62 degrees. I don't have C, and I do want to calculate A. I also want to put down the sides. That's going to be very important. So we saw those are the small letters opposite the capital letters that represent the angles. So you can see here small a is 25. That's opposite capital A. And small b is 28. So now that chart is really good, because what you want to do is now you want to use that chart to help you pick which ratio you're going to use to calculate angle A in this particular triangle. So what we want you to do is we want you to pick the ratio where you have 3 of the 4 variables. So right off the bat, you can eliminate one of them. So we can eliminate this one here because we're trying to find angle A, and angle A isn't in that ratio. So it's either going to be this one or that one. Now, which one do I have 3 of the 4? So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to turn my highlighter on. I like to do that when I'm picking my formula, or ratio I should say. So I'm going to look here. Yes, I do have small a, so I'm going to highlight that. Now, I'm going to go below that. It says a sine of capital A. Now, I'm trying to calculate capital A. All right, so I wouldn't have that one. Now, looking over here, do I have small b? Yes, I do. And do I have capital B? Yes, I do. So this one right here is the one that we're going to pick. That's the one we have 3 of the 4. This one right here, you wouldn't have 3 of the 4 because you don't have small c or capital C. So that's the one we're going to pick. I'm going to change the pen there, and I'm going to substitute what I have for my chart or my triangle. If you don't want to do the chart, but I really do recommend doing the chart, into the ratio. So small a is 25 over the sine of angle A. Now we don't know what angle A is because we want to calculate it. Small b is 28 over the sine of angle B, which is 62. So next thing we want to do is want to calculate the sine of 62. So we saw that in a prior video. So making sure your calculator's in degree mode. Again, you decide how many decimal values are going to suit your needs. I like to use 4 decimal values. So it comes out to about decimal 8829. And now you can refer to that prior video we had about how to solve equal ratios proportions, because that's exactly what we have here. I'm going to go 28 times sine A, and I'm going to write that 28 sine of A. Now sine of A is acting like a variable here. So kind of like would be 28x. You're going to solve for sine of A. And of course 25 times decimal 8829. So again, that comes out to, I'm going to use a few more decimal places here. So remember, you're trying to solve for sine A. So we want to get that isolated. So I'm going to divide by 28 because that's going to give me just my sine A, which is what I want. And of course we're going to balance. I'm going to divide by 28 here. So when we make that division there, 22.0725 divided by 28 comes out to about 0.7883. Now we're not quite done because that's a sine of A. So again, however your calculator wants you to punch in that sequence of your second function and your sine button, because you are using the sine law here, you're going to do that. And it should come out to about 52 degrees. So again, making that chart at the beginning is really going to help you to pick which of the ratios you're going to use when you want to use the sine law to calculate an angle in a non-right angle triangle. And remember, you always want the ratio where you have 3 of the 4 variables.